All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I wanted to look into Lookism, no pun intended. Whoops. Welcome back to the channel. In regards to the Epstein files, because while there are multiple, famous celebrities and rich people, it seems that a lot of the people that made repeated trips or were involved in a lot of the parties were a lot of these scientist type people like Steven Pinker, what's his name? Stephen Hawking, which he was known to like go to strip clubs and stuff like that, which is understandable because it's probably very difficult for a person in a wheelchair to get, interest from a lot of females, even though he was an extremely intelligent person and successful. So, not to say that what these people were doing was wrong or right or whatever, especially with the underage stuff. I mean, if they were just accessing adult female prostitutes, I really don't care about that as much. But more to the point is that maybe what we're seeing in the Epstein files isn't the full picture, because everyone can't be blackmailed in the same way, right? Like, for example, if a guy is successful and married, happily married with kids, he's not going to be involved in these types of situations, right? And I think that even most people would probably only be involved with the adult, the adult escorts, because just from a general cross section of society, I think most guys, when you're talking about wheeling out Victoria's Secret models versus teenage girls, I think 99% of guys are going to go with the Victoria's Secret models. It's only a small percentage of guys that are like, Victoria's Secret models? Yuck. So I think there's an aspect of that to it, to who we're seeing in the Epstein files is people who are not exactly the most attractive people on the planet, shall we say. And that's why they're able to be blackmailed in this way. Like, for instance, Bill Gates and other people like that, where, someone like Trump, it might be more advantageous to threaten his family or threaten his businesses, things like that, because, everybody can't be blackmailed in the same way. People can either be financially blackmailed, have their family blackmailed through family members, things like that. Anyone or anything that you care about can be turned into, a blackmail tool, right? So I'm not really going to belabor this point too much, but it's definitely just something to think about when examining who is in the Epstein files and why they're in the Epstein files. It's just kind of like a secondary or tertiary point of examination, like another data point. And then we can also look at this, because I think that this has something to do with what the Epstein files is and why there's so much information and all these emails that he sent to himself with seemingly made up situations about certain people and where they're not verified situations. Because here we can see that in this article about what is a dead man's switch, right? Understanding a dead man's switch, right? The dead man's switch, in its essence, is a system designed to trigger a specific action if its creator fails to perform regular check-ins. In the context of an extortion device, this system could be set to release compromising information, initiate transactions, or execute contracts upon certain conditions being met or unmet, like someone not returning home because they're dead. The creator thus wields this system as a bargaining chip, a leverage tool in negotiations, or as a deterrent against threats. The extortion twist, financial gains, and trigger mechanisms. In this altered avatar, the DMS takes on a more proactive role. Imagine a scenario where the dead man's switch is linked to financial transactions. The creator could demand regular payments to prevent the switch from activating. This setup turns the dead man's switch into a sophisticated form of digital blackmail, where the threat of action becomes a means for financial gain. Moreover, the switch could be programmed with complex trigger mechanisms. Beyond the simple failure to check in, triggers could include the detection of tampering attempts, specific market events, or even the detection of physical threats to the creator. This versatility makes the dead man switch not only a posthumous message bearer, but an active player in the creator's ongoing security strategy. So it seems kind of to me that that's a lot of what the Epstein files was too. I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely another thing to think about, right? Because obviously a lot of the stuff was being held in secret, and the people were constantly playing the game with Epstein. It wasn't just like a one-time thing. And it seems like, yeah, like someone like Bill Gates that didn't want his marriage to be ruined or whatever, and other people that, this could have been a possible explanation that, he was like, I'm going to release this information unless you keep doing deals. You got to keep doing the deals with me and my friends that I bring in that want to buy your stock or get insider information or, transport some stuff on, maybe someone owns a shipping company. We want to transport stuff on your shipping company without having to go through customs, or we want to do this, we want to do that. And then it's like, you got to keep playing ball. Otherwise, the dead man switch gets triggered and then all your information leaks out to the public, right? So those are just my two ideas on it, really, that, the people that you see on the Epstein list are, they're probably guys that are more susceptible to that type of blackmail, but that doesn't mean that they're the only people that were being blackmailed. Other people could have been being blackmailed in other ways, like, for instance, through their family relationships or business relationships or some other type of vice or thing like that. And that, to me personally, it does seem like is a dead man's switch aspect to it, which is why there was so much of this like weird information that might not have even been true, but he knew that if the public saw it in connection with his, previous convictions and previous reputation, that it might trigger, what happened, where everyone is now a suspect that even had any contact with Epstein at all. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you did, have a good day and peace.